Hey there, this is Jim. We are watching Surfview Gardens. Today we're going to plant the elm oyster, mycelium, into wood chips in the backyard. So I'm going to show you the plan here. Okay, there we go. We're going to plant, here's today's date. We're going to plant the elm oyster mycelium and the wood chips in the backyard in bed number 3. You saw me build that up. That was the Hugelkultur pit that I ended up loading up with wood chips. So first of all, we're going to move the wood chips. I'm going to be making a row of the mycelium for the elm oyster, and also I'm going to be putting in a couple rows for planting transplants from my seedling bed from bed 2. So we're going to prepare the cardboard. You've seen those mycelium running cardboard things, cardboard demos, but basically here's the deal, is that inside of the cardboard, you have like a ridge like that. And so the mycelium like to go over the little hills. They consider that like an adventure. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut strips like that, about 4 inches wide, and is however long the box is. And then actually, it's going to be the other way. Yeah, let's forget that. So it's going to be cutting them that way. So that'll be the length. And they'll be, yeah. So that way the mycelium will have a chance to run across that little bumpy path. So we'll move the wood chips. We'll prepare the cardboard. We'll place a bottom layer of cardboard along the whole row. Then we're going to prepare the spawn extender. I've got 3 bags of elm fruiting bags that Kevin, a nice guy, gave to me. Then we're going to place the spawn extender, and then we're going to place the top cardboard over the spawn extender. So what in essence we're going to be making, kind of like an Oreo cookie, a really long one, more like a Vienna fingers, really long Vienna fingers. And then the white, of course, is the spawn extender, and the cardboard is the floury cake part. In any event, then we're going to cover that with wood chips and water, and then we'll be done. So that's it. That's our plan for today, or at least one of the plans. I'll get back to you with other stuff, but I just thought I'd show you what we're doing. So next step will be moving the wood chips. All right, it's February 10th, 2018, and this is what we're doing today. We have this whole area over here that is, we're going to put in a few rows, 2 rows of soil, not particularly deep. We have about 6 cubic feet, so they're going to be about 4 or 5 inches wide, maybe 6 inches, and maybe about 10 inches deep. But on the back side, I'm going to be putting in a row of mycelium for elm oysters. So this is what we're doing. We've got these 4-inch cardboard strips. I took up a box or 2 and took an X-Acto knife, and the way the strips move, once I get them soaked, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be peeling off the top layer, and then it's going to have these little ridges that are going to run As you can see, they run perpendicular to the direction of the length of the cut. And so, as you can imagine, I'm going to, far against the back wall, I'm going to have a row of that. I'm going to put down the cardboard, the ruffled edge. Then I'm going to put down I'm going to take this mycelium. My buddy Kevin, who's down at the Uptown Market every Saturday in Phoenix at Bethany and Central, he gave me those, and of course he gave me all of these too. And in any event, so what I'm doing is I'm going to take some premium wood pellets. I'm going to pasteurize those. That might be a bit overkill since they're going outside anyway, but then I'm going to mix them. 100% natural fuel, no glues or binders. And hopefully that also means no, but these are really cheap. And I'll tell you where I got them. I got them at Ace Hardware, and they were like $7 for 20 pounds. So that even beats the $20 for 40-pound deal if you can find them elsewhere, or not the same brand. But this is Flame Genie. They typically go in this little stove they have, but it doesn't have to be that. So in any event, those are going to get mixed with this, with the 3 bags of Elm. There's Elm. Some of it looks pretty funky, but it says Elm on it. There you go. Elm. Oh, that's not Elm, that's Lionsmane. Back you go. Lionsmane, we don't want to mix those up. So, and here I have 2 elms that are in decent shape. So I guess I'm only putting in 2. All the more reason for the extender spawn. Whatever that is. And here's another Lionsmane. So we're going to keep that for another location in the yard. Alright, I've already watered my plants for the day. As you can see, the Hibiscus sabdariffa is doing well. And the ashwagandha is coming up. But my pigeon peas, see? And even over here. I don't know if you can see that, but those are the Hibiscus sabdariffa and the ashwagandha. And the Hibiscus sabdariffa there, so I alternated them. You can see the babies coming up on the ashwagandha, so those are coming up. So that's what we're going to do. Is while the cardboard's soaking, I'm going to prepare the rows, and we can, next time you see this, all these rows are going to be in place. So we'll have 3 rows, 1 for the elm oysters and 2 for the soil. I might decide just to do 1. I think I'll do 2 for the soil. All right, time for work. All right, so I wanted to show you this part. You guys saw me put in the raised bed. It was only like a week or 2 Saturdays ago. Oh, yeah. All of the wood chips. But it's almost like somebody started a fire. Look at all of this gray all of this gray, quickly decomposing stuff. That's amazing. It's breaking down very fast. So it's a good thing I waited a few weeks to see what kind of heat we have here. Because, yeah, it's still kind of, it's warm, but it's not hot. We don't want to cook the mycelium. But rather than doing all the rows ahead of time, I'm just going to do one row at a time, which makes sense, because I don't know what I've got left over. But the reason why I'm doing the Elm Oyster against the wall is because they supposedly love edges. And so, almost seems like we got leaves growing there, but maybe not. So that's what's next, is to pull the wet cardboard apart and put that in place, and then I'll be getting the spawn extender going. Maybe I'll start boiling the water for the spawn extender. I think I'll start that while the cardboard soaks. So more in a bit. Alright, so now we are getting ready to pour the 180 plus degree water into these wood pellets. And this is what the wood pellets look like. And they have to be hardwoods, so not pine or cypress or cedar. So in any event, I'm going to come out with the hot water, and I'm going to mount this cool looking contraption here with the camera. Let's do that right now. So this is bouncing off my head. Okay, I got this door open here. We're going into my messy kitchen. So we're going to get this gun here, temperature gun. And here's the water steaming. So what are we looking at? 178, that's pretty good. So I'm gonna, okay, 175 and 185, depending on where I bounce it off of. But that's good enough. All right, so I'm gonna put a lid on for safety. I got the door open. And we'll turn it off. I'm going to find a way to keep this camera from bouncing, but all right. So the idea here is that we have that aluminum stuff that keeps the temperature, it'll isolate the temperature. So and we'll get some more hot water going. Well, that's pretty cool. Look how quickly that expands. I'll get another thing of hot water going, and I'll wait. We'll see how much that fills up. Keep it nice and warm. All right. Boy, that does bounce, doesn't it? I'll have to walk more Zen-like. All right. So, these turned out see, right now they're not all submerged. It sucked up a lot of the water. Sawdust pellets, hardwood sawdust pellets. So I'm going to add some more hot water in a bit. But in the meantime, I wanted to show you what we got going here. I've started to strip the cardboard, and the basic idea is that we want the ribs to go this way, so the mycelium, like motorcycle riders going with those bumps, they like to go up over the little hills. I guess that's how they enjoy themselves. So, I'm going to show you how simple this is. Maybe there's the best place to do this. Okay, so one side comes off easier than the other, although they both will come off. But look how simple that is. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm making a little pile. These will go back in the water in a few minutes. And then I'm going to end up using these to cover the spawn extender. So we'll do a couple more. Basically start to pull it apart. And these were only in the water for maybe an hour or so. Now one side gives a little more resistance, which is this side. So there is one side that works better. And then I'm staggering these so that they can pull apart in case there's glue on them. But grab these out of the water. They're about 4 inches apart. And I'll make a little area here. So I'm going to finish up the cardboard here, and then put it back in the water and get ready, and then start placing it. I might show you a few clips of that. Well, why don't I show you a little bit of that right now, so that I don't have to do that. All right. So what we're going to do is place it. Pretty simple. All this head camera thing is got a ways to be. So we're kind of like putting a little carpet down. We've started to lay down the corrugated strips. I got more to do. But the next step is to top this off with some more hot water. Back outside. Now we're going to work on the mycelium bags. This is what my neighbor, or Kevin, the guy from Uptown Farmers Market. So what we're going to do is we're going to get these in place. And we're going to cut the bags. No real point in. See, that's what they breathe through. Those little, they're breathers. They spit out carbon dioxide. And then these are both, see, that's a 2-micron filter that air can go through, but it cleans out, the filter cleans out the spores. So it wants to grow. So we're going to dump these bags in here. They are hard as a rock, and there's some weirdness in there. But we'll live with that. Thank God for X-Acto knives. I've used that twice. One on a cardboard. Right, that's good. And so this is what I call spawn extender. We'll do this with bags, with the bags that were in better shape inside. But the basic idea, is to break this baby up so that it has more points of contact with the sawdust. And I'm not going to pour hot sawdust in there. That would be a bad thing. So I'm going to have to let that drain and cool. All right. So what we've done here is that I've got the my container ready. I'm going to be pouring out the sawdust. I took off the lid. So now it's time to, hopefully this won't all go on the, get all the water out of there. As you can see, there's a lot of steam. That's what we want to see. We want to take out the water and get the moisture content up there. So that's pretty good. That's one of them. I spilled a little bit, but that's pretty good. So remember, I only filled the bucket up, quarter of the way, but it's got all that sawdust to work with. So we'll let that cool for a while. Okay, so I'm letting the sawdust cool off. But you can see from just like a third or maybe a quarter of pellets, look how much we've got here. This is my hand. So look how much we have here. And that's all cooling off. They're still quite warm, very warm. But I can see why they do that steam technique, because that's how you get the moisture out. You let the steam carry out the moisture. So we'll let that cool off for a little longer. And then I will add it over here to the chopped up spent bags. And you can see there's some pretty funky stuff there. Some green weirdness. But it's going in the garden. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to add the cooled off sawdust. And I did put my hand in there. And we're going to dump it in there. We'll do one more just for now. And we'll stir that up some with this handy hula hole. The flies sure like the smell of that. I think flies and bees really like mushrooms. I think Paul Stamets would have 4 or 5 books saying the same thing. And if we see anything that needs to be chopped up, we'll nail it at the same time. So you get the idea. We'll add the other two and we'll get a mix ready to put in place. And I'm going to water down. You can see the cardboard I put there is already getting kind of dry. So I'll water that down. I'll put the other two in place and mix it up. And the next thing you do will be spreading some of that spawn extender for the, it's like a long Vienna finger, and we're going to be putting in the icing layer here shortly. So stay tuned. So we've got the spawn extender in place. So what we're going to do, make sure we get little chunks of it as we go. But I'm just going to put some on top of the recently wetted cardboard. Make sure we get enough for everywhere. Try to stay on the little runway here. Hope you can see that. I think you get the idea. So I'm going to go all the way to the end there. And the next step is I'll be putting cardboard on top of it and then preparing to cover it all with wood chips. Okay? So back in a bit. There we go. So I'm going to wash all of these, but isn't that beautiful? Nice long row of that. So the next step is for me to put the cardboard on top of it and do a cardboard protective row, or cover, I should say. It's think of it as a long Vienna finger. That's the cream in the middle, and then the cardboard is the flour part of it, the crispy top. So that's the next step, is to do that. We'll see in a little bit. So I had all this extra material here, so I figured, well, why not just use it? So I'm going to use this part, the corrugated part, face down. Longer is better. I guess you've heard that before. And we'll just do the rest of them like that. Put the corrugated part down, and then we'll just put the normal other one to help protect the top. So that way we'll have a pretty good cover from the wood chips that I'll put back on there. Okay? Alright, we're making progress. Look at how pretty I wallpapered this. So I covered basically any exposure to the extended spawn. And so now I'm going to cover it with wood chips and then get ready to do the other two rows of Kellogg's raised bed and potting mix. So they should endorse me. Okay, there you go. All right, I thought I'd show you a little of the action. So we're pushing some of the wood chips back on, and we're just going to do that all the way around. And we're going to do all the way down there. I think you get the idea. And then afterwards we'll make some rows for the soil. All right. All right. So this is the next step. With the mushrooms in, now I've made a ditch. It's going to be about 6 to 8 inches deep. And I'm going to put a row of raised bed potting soil in there. And then I'm going to move some wood chips back towards it. And I'm going to do the same thing with another row. And I might have some extra wood chips at the end of this, but that's okay. I'll pile them up over here in my little utility area. So in any event, that's the first row. It's ready for the soil. All right. Well, this is the completion of it. I'll probably hose down the two. I might not even do that. I was thinking of hosing down the soil part. But since there's no real seeds in there, there's really no reason to encourage the bacteria or the mold. So this is what we got. You remember, we have the whole row of Elm Oyster mushroom substrate extender. Then I got basically 2 rows here. That back one you can't see too well because it's pretty close to the mushrooms, but there's about 8 inches down of raised bed potting soil. That's one row. And then there's this other more defined row. That is another 8 inches down. And then we got a nice little wall of all around it with wood chips. So that's pretty cool. That kind of ends it for today. Well, yeah. And I just want to go to show you over here. This over here is where we're raising the seedlings. Remember, we're only February 10th, 2018. So you got some ashwagandha and sabarifa coming up. No pigeon peas and Egyptian spinach yet. But once they come up, and the idea with this, of course, is to keep Mr. Chubby Squirrel from coming over and chomping like he did last year and turning my broccoli sprouts into a vegetarian buffet. But there's the ashwagandha in the corner there. And there is a sabarifa. There's another sabarifa. These are doing well in here. So, that's the idea, is that this will be a transplant bed. Everything that goes in here will have a little bit of height to it. And then, of course, in the background will be the elm oyster mushrooms growing that will eventually have something shady blocking them, either the Egyptian spinach or the pigeon peas. Both of those are like bushes. And the ashwagandha. So that's pretty cool. We got 3 rows today. So mushrooms against the wall. Second row, of course, nothing yet. And then the third row. So that's it. I got to clean up this mess and throw out some stuff. But I think I'm all done here. And we'll see you next time.